Two players are fighting in a pay-to-win game. One is a rich oil prince and the other is a kid who stole his mom's credit card. Who wins? Wrong, the game company does.
Wow.
Welcome back, everybody. My name's Coach, and today I want to talk about money and how it created a system in gaming where everyone is just trying to get high. And in the magical casino that is modern gaming, it's the whales that rule these waters, because most of us are bottom feeders.
Oh my god, how do you buy this?
But game companies hunt whales. You'll see what we mean. Because gambling can really suck ass. But it's a nice looking ass. One that might land you in jail if you're not careful.
Amber's kind of waifu, I'm not gonna lie.
And we want to talk about how things like loot boxes, gacha games, and microtransactions have turned the gaming industry into one big dopamine-induced circle jerk. Let's get started. So we're listing some attributes on screen. Some of these may look familiar to a lot of you, but you might be surprised that they're not just the symptoms of a hardcore gamer, but instead of a gambling addict. This hit home for us as well, because even though some of you may not be gamblers, we're all gamers. And what most people don't realize is that we've been conditioned to gamble our entire lives, which is why these full-grown men can lose their f***ing minds over a paper card.
You've already made your money back.
I made my money back. No, I'm up.
Yeah, you're up.
To be fair, it was PSA 10. Most people consider the original inspiration for modern video game pricing models to be Japan's gashapon machines, which were vending machines that would offer capsules with a random collectible toy of varying rarity inside. They were a hit, and video game companies adopted this highly addictive model for their transactions years later in the form of loot boxes. Wait a second. Pokemon cards were literally just real-life loot boxes for us English-speaking kids growing up. You see, we've been conditioned by these gaming companies for years to gamble because of a weakness in the human brain. And while sometimes it may just be harmless fun with no corporate motive behind it, when real-life money gets in the picture, it starts to feel like exploitation. But is it all the company's fault? Well, if gaming companies are the drug cartels, streamers and influencers would be the dealers. Peddling the artificial value of these items while profiting from the values they not only affect but seem to assign them.
It's a fantastic Bulbasaur.
10,000, 20,000 plus, maybe 30.
You made your money back.
He's got his money back at this point, right?
I think so. I already had a heavy profit.
And even though opening rare loot boxes can be very expensive, they're able to do it because of support from their viewers and fans. The irony is many of those same supporters want that same loot box opportunity for themselves, but can't afford it because they are viewers and fans. You see, that PSA 10 Charizard is something that we as fans give value to.
We just pulled a shiny Charizard! A PSA 10 of this is literally several $1,000s.
Just like the CSGO community giving value to a virtual gun skin. Of course, the rarity of these goods is controlled by the company producing them, and theoretically on any given day they could make something like Logan Paul's Chansey pulls completely worthless by flooding the market with, I don't know, a secret storage of first edition boxes they found. Now this probably would never happen, but in the same vein, if people just stopped caring about Pokemon cards, they'd become a worthless piece of paper. Loot boxes bought online are the same way. But try and tell your friend who still plays Overwatch that his account with every Tracer skin will be worth something in 10 years.
I don't like wasting my money.
The only thing that has consistent, lasting value isn't the skins, isn't the cards or loot boxes, it's the money we give these companies. And who are we to say how someone should spend their money, how they define their happiness? I guess the point we're trying to make is just about the only thing that could outweigh a gambler's thirst for thrills and money is a gamer's dopamined up brain trying to get the sexiest anime titties in Genshin Impact. It's why many people care more about their status and wealth in a video game than they do in real life. Because to a lot of people, us here at Ego Elite included, video games are better than real life. And let's face it, real life is way more pay to win than a video game is. But it's not your mom buying you loot boxes from Target anymore. It's a system designed for instant satisfaction. And the key is the last 3 digits on your credit card. You see, it's not only more enjoyable than real life, it's more convenient. And game companies know how important it is for a gamer to not have to leave their house to spend money. There are all sorts of payment and pricing models designed to balance player happiness with maximizing profits, not all of which are even gambling. But this harmony is what we think is the root cause of many of the worst addiction cases you hear about. It's a serious problem, especially for those with mental or chemical imbalances that these companies seem to prey on. Whether it's paying to save time, paying to win, paying to do more, paying for social status or customization. What we've realized is they've got exploiting your frontal lobe and taking your money down to a science, making us hardcore gamers look more like prey than the alpha chads we actually are. And the whales are the biggest prey of them all. What are whales? The few big, meaty boys and girls who make up a high percentage of a company's in-game revenue. You know, the type of guy who looks like this and brags about how much money he makes at his IT job. To the average nerd, these are the real chads. But it's important to know the other types of whales that exist. Of course, we've covered the green whale beef boys who can afford digital purchases and do it because they view a $5,000 virtual spaceship a better investment than an actual investment. Then there's the brokeback whales who are spending cash that they probably shouldn't because they love doing it. And lastly, the innocent whales who have no idea what they're doing, but damn it, do they need to buy that new Fortnite dance. Kids are dumb. You see, even though most of us are fish in the gaming ocean, it's the whales that drive the ecosystem. And it's because of the whales that we all get to experience some amazing titles for free. Even your friend on the bus growing up who got made fun of for having poor people's clothes. Oftentimes, these games end up being some of the most enjoyable since none of our brokeback gamer brethren are left out of the party. But also because the companies get a consistent revenue stream from players to improve the game and constantly add content. MMOs, for instance. It used to be that all quality MMOs were subscription-based. If you couldn't get a good-sized player base, the game would die. Now, cash shops allow subpar games to stay open thanks to the tiny part of the player base that pays absurd amounts to keep them open. Companies like Blizzard know you're so addicted, they just say f it and have a cash shop while still charging the same sub price they did over 15 years ago. I mean, they don't even try anymore. They're just laughing at their player base.
This is a cool Fortnite skin.
You see, these gaming companies have gotten smart. To gamble, you have to wager something of value on an event with an uncertain outcome. They bypass this little legal loophole by guaranteeing you your desired reward. But they don't make it easy, and they try to trap you along the way. Is having to spend anywhere between $1 and $180 to get yourself a rare character that has a 0.6% chance to drop gambling? Genshin Impact doesn't think so. As one of the first commercially popularized gacha games to gain widespread attraction in the West, Genshin Get Stacks is a game primarily designed to push player spending and maximize profits. And despite the fact that its pricing model was westernized to protect players, we were not ready. But for what? They made at face value an immersive, content-packed, and most importantly, free game. Its AAA production quality and art gets you hooked, wanting to play it every day. They offer you a bit of free currency to spend on rewards. These rewards are visually pleasing and make the game even more enjoyable to play. Just check out our cash shop for more. Oh, but you can't pick your rewards. And the best ones are way more rare. Some are only available for a limited time. Oh, but you're addicted by now, so you have to add them to your collection or forever miss out.
Oh, the look! Here we go! Oh my god! We're gonna get him! Ah! One more. One more. Oh my god! Oh my god!
And see your friend over there? He has way better shit than you. Oh, and he got lucky on his free pool, so he actually never even had to spend anything.
Is that good?
Oh, and it turns out you grew up your whole life as socially vulnerable. A person who will do anything to earn the approval of your peers, playing the same game, all doing the same thing you are, creating an endless cycle of one-upsmanship of the most dangerous kind.
The socially accepted way of behaving in your game should be paying. You, absolutely do not want to tell them that the majority of people in your game never spend money. That's poison.
Are you starting to see how scummy it is? But why stop there? To unlock all the content, you just need to spend some money. or pay with what's left of your free time. Just kidding, just kidding. You'll never unlock all the content because we keep releasing new stuff. And when we stop, the game will have died, making all your shit worthless. I'm not done. Most of the new content is better and stronger than the older content. We call that power creep. Many games experience power creep because it's a designer's goal to keep their game feeling fun, exciting, by making new characters or powers better than the older ones, giving them cancerous mobility or face roll levels of strength. But gacha games do this solely to keep cashing out on the same people who are socially and financially hooked and don't want to fall behind. In simple terms, once they have their dedicated whale farm, they hit them with the pay to win. F***ing gross. Tencent Chimpsack even puts key abilities on specific rare characters, forcing you to pull baby pull. We even talked to our friend and self-proclaimed dolphin, not quite a whale, who has spent over $1,500 on the game since starting just over 3 months ago. He wished to remain anonymous, but we asked him what he thinks of Genshin's pricing model. He said he feels exploited. And this really surprised me because he is self-aware and knowledgeable of the probabilities and their pricing trap. So why does he still do it? Well, he said the best way to describe him is not addicted, but committed. He's sunken so much into the game that he feels like he has to keep going, sort of like the sunk cost fallacy for gamers. But the bigger revelation here is that spend-win shincrack also makes the gambler's fallacy come true. The false belief in a gambler that an action occurring more frequently means that it's less likely to occur in the future, even though each action is statistically independent from any other. In Genshin, you are eventually guaranteed to get your desired character after a set amount of rolls. But only after a certain price point, one that is high, but not so high that someone with a little money might be willing or even compulsively encouraged to shoot for if they get unlucky. Literal bait for the fish, a balancing act by the company to squeeze out as much as they can from players. As is true for many other games, like a casino, they give you a little playing money to get you hooked, hoping you start spending on your own and then get stuck trying to buy your way out. The only thing we could probably compare the pricing models of gacha games like Genshin Spitfax to more than a casino is a shady drug dealer. Because again, the distinction between gambling by definition is that players are technically getting something out of each transaction, drugs. Even though the player may denote little to no value to it in the form of weak or duplicate items, weak drugs. And even though our friend admits Sen Skin Intact is straight gambling disguised as gaming, it's a type of game he really enjoys. And at the end of the day, he says it's worth it for him. And let's not forget all the freedom he gives to players because he's their dolphin Jesus. Seems like a win-win-win, right? Well, that depends on how much you sympathize with those socially vulnerable people, or exploited addicts whose lives may have been hurt due to some mental illness. That just makes it impossible to curve their spending. The type of people that these developers know exist, and not only turn a blind eye to, but encourage to keep spending. The literal whale in the room. The one that they try not to talk about, or brush off and say are a result of gamers' willful passion and support for their content. Which, in all fairness, is partially true. After all, in When Pinned Pimp Smack's eyes, it's not gambling and they're just acting within the law. Besides, if you want to gamble, just get into esports betting like everyone else. I almost feel bad for saying what I'm about to say here after how many people saw our Nintendo is like North Korea video and told us it made them want to play Nintendo games instead of the opposite, but here goes. Fantasy esports and esports betting are on the rise big time. And if you didn't know about this and it somehow turns you into a chronic gambler when you go check it out, I am sorry. Although to be fair, Nintendo does suck. But this is where the real gambling is. And it's becoming legal in more and more states. In 2019, people spent almost $8 billion on esports gambling, and that amount is projected to reach nearly $13 billion in the future. Its meteoric rise is the result of a perfect storm of a few factors, including competitive gaming's continual surge in popularity among young people, esports betting becoming legalized in more and more places. But let's face it, people are going to get a VPN and do it anyway if it's not legal. Many traditional sports are just starting to get old and suck, kind of like their athletes. And if that's not enough, COVID-19 last year slowed down live sports for a long time, which caused many gamblers to find alternatives. One of the most interesting reasons I've found is when talking to another friend who would like to remain anonymous but admits to esports betting a lot. He said calculating the odds of a competitive game almost feels like a game itself, one that's low effort and easy to play. Now, what does that remind you of? I mean, it's no surprise that in-person gambling is on the decline. No slot machine compares to the same variable rate reinforcement schedule of a loot box, because it gives you a bump every pull. Putting your money into a game, sport, or hobby you love makes it that much more addicting. It makes you that much more attached. I think modern gaming has less to do with some chronic gambling epidemic sweeping the world and more to do with passion. And isn't that why we became gamers in the first place? So, sue me for my passion for League of Legends, which I've blown over 2G on before I quit. Sue our gacha dolphin friend for his passion for anime girls. Sue my esports betting buddy for his passion for thrills. Sue streamers and influencers for their passion for being narcissistic dickheads who bait a generation of kids to waste their money. Sue the kid who stole $16,000 from his mom's credit card because of his passion for Sonic. And sue the gaming companies who choose to let their passion for money and profits guide their decisions and causes them to be greedy, exploitative f***s. Because at the end of the day, the magical casino of gaming is all just one big dopamine-induced circle jerk, and everyone's just trying to get their fix. Thanks for watching. And hey guys, real quick before you go, thanks for making it all the way through the video. If you could just do us a huge favor and just click some shit below the video. I don't care what you click on, comment, whatever. Ego Elite would really appreciate it because we work really hard on this stuff. Thanks, and love you guys.